Namaskar, good evening to everyone. Just like to clarify that in my introduction, Chandan said I was Dr. Vivek Oberoi. I'm not. Unless one of the educators here decides to confer a PhD on me, just like that. Thank you. Far from it, actually. It's great to be here at the 15th Education Summit. I think I was just telling Raviji right now that when he was explaining to me about the awards, I was saying, this is a bit like IFA awards, right? In our industry. You travel all over the world. He was telling me, Denver, the UK, India, everywhere. It's pretty impressive. And to have something like this going on for 15 years and to celebrate the best in education every year, to bring people like you who are stakeholders in the future of this great nation, and to celebrate you, to create a platform to engage, interact, collaborate. I think it's commendable. So to your entire team, Raviji, I'd like to congratulate you on the 15th Education Summit Awards here in Mumbai. I think there are two critical words in that, line there, the Education Summit. If you want to reach the summit, you have to go through an education. I think the value of education has never been lost on Indian parents. कभी-कभी तो ज़्यादा ही होता था. In earlier generations, मार के पीट के पढ़ाते थे कि पढ़ो लिखो. But I think even today, when I go all over the world and I meet with really successful professionals, it gives you a different zing, it gives you a different sense of pride when you find them to be Indians. And I think there's two things. One is the robust education system that we've had, which it's refreshing to see is evolving to match global standards at such speed, especially with the advent of edu-tech in India. I think that's fantastic. And the second is, of course, that we're desis. It's in our blood. We can make a business out of anything. We can be successful anywhere, right? I always tell this to kids when I speak to them. I say, once upon a time, there was a desi traveling in the Rajdhani, and next to him was Bruce Lee. Now, Bruce Lee and Desi Bhai were sitting next to each other. It's the Rajdhani. Suddenly there was a mosquito that started buzzing around. So Bruce Lee, with lightning fast reflexes, picks the mosquito out of the air, puts into his mouth and starts eating. He was hungry. The Desi is staring, quite aghast. He's quite horrified. What's going on? Ye machhar pakad ke kha raha hai? Kya ho raha hai ye? Another mosquito buzzes around. And with the same speed, Bruce Lee grabs that mosquito out of the air, puts it into his mouth, and starts chewing on it. How the Desi is really watching him very, very intently. Ki bhai, main dekh raha hu, kya kar raha hai? The third mosquito comes, and before Bruce Lee can move a muscle, the Desi grabs the mosquito out of the air, looks at Bruce Lee, and says, "Kitne mein kharidega?" Right? So I think that's the celebration of the eternal spirit of being Desi. We can make a business out of anything. We can be successful anywhere. But a great education really, really impacts us. And I think education is a huge liberator. I have a bit of a personal story I'd like to share here. About 11 years ago, I was in the temple town of Vrindavan. And I'd had a beautiful darshan. And just after the darshan, of course, movie star hai, to all the people there will come up, the pandits and everybody will come up and say, "Oh, puja was super successful. Ask God for anything you please, and you shall be granted." So it was a very elaborate puja, and I'm human. So of course I started thinking in my own greed, what should I ask for God to give me? What's this negotiation going to be like? And the moment the kivad opened, the minute I saw the Lord in all its glory, I had a sense of, embarrassment almost, that I've been blessed with so much already, and here I am asking for more. And instead, I bowed in gratitude, and I said, "Thank you. Thank you for so much that I've already been blessed with. And if there's anything that you want to give me now, I want you to give me the opportunity to serve." Seva. Because I truly believe that, the world is divided in two people. It's not rich and poor, it's not educated and uneducated. I think it's divided in two kinds of people. Those who need help and those who can help. And if you find yourself in the other category of those who can help, that's a blessing from God, right? You're not in need. You've been given the ability to help someone else in need. So it's a blessing and a responsibility. So I had this moment, this epiphany, and minutes later I'm outside and I meet this, getting into my caravan, my convoy to get back to the city, to Delhi. And I meet this gentleman with a little choti and in his khadi kurta, and he starts to say, "Vivek bhaiya, we need your help." And I'm thinking, wow, that was fast. Anyway, we found out about these little girls that were being exploited. Some of them were being sold into child prostitution. Some of them were being sold into forced labor. And to me, it sounded like the script of a bad Hindi film. I was like, what's going on? This is not happening. This is the 2000s. It's ridiculous. 2 hours from Delhi, how is this even possible in our country? But unfortunately, it was the truth. I wanted to see it myself. Went there, physically saw it with my own eyes, and we ran a rescue operation, got the administration involved. It was very helpful. What shocked me to my core was the oldest was 13, and the youngest, ready to be sold, was only 5 years old. Now, in that moment, of course, I wanted to do something more, right? Aside from the rescue, beyond the rehabilitation aspect. So those kids that we couldn't get back to their families, we started working with them in a small project called Devi. And Devi was an acronym of Development and Empowerment of Vrindavan Girls Initiative. Just an initiative to empower our girls. And the duality of calling them Devi was, and the reason that specifically was these little girls, even though they were victims, even though they had been, abused, they felt guilty. They felt impure. And I wanted them to feel that they're the pure ones, and the impure ones are the ones that need to be put to justice. So anyhow, that story started 11 years ago. Now we have 3 schools. We have over 2,200 girls that we give free food, free education, and free healthcare to under the program. And in empowering these girls through education, in empowering them to actually dictate the terms of what they want their lives to be, right? And to choose, to finally have a choice, I have felt so empowered. So, whenever the kids thank me, I thank them for the opportunity of seva. I thank them for the opportunity of being able to be a part of their lives, to be able to create this impact, because to me that's more than any award that I've been blessed with. This to me is the greatest living, breathing awards, all of them. I think that's the true impact of education. I see 3 education secretaries here in front of me. You are so powerful. You don't just run administrative posts. You actually have the future of this country in your hands. And thank you for doing such a great job. All 3 of you have done such wonderful work that you're being celebrated here tonight. In my own small way, any way I can collaborate, any way I can contribute, I'd be happy to. I think it's something that's a collective responsibility. I always say that we're quick to judge the government, we're quick to attack the government, but we're never quick to reach out and say, how can I help, right? You'll find a lot of problem pointers, but no problem solvers. So yes, it's great to be here today. I'm here in an interesting capacity as my company, Philanthropist, is here today interacting with all of you. I think it's a really novel concept. The co-founders are sitting right there. There's Rohit, there's Navish, there's an entire team here. What I love about Philanthropist, I love about the idea was to truly empower kids and not make the price point of education. So it's this eternal conflict, right? You're trying to drive the cost of education down, but when you try and drive the cost of something down, sometimes the quality of that also goes down. There's so many wonderful educators here who have to run this with a certain amount of excellence, but excellence unfortunately costs money. And when you have to charge that money further on from parents, sometimes people want to come to a great school, but they simply can't afford it. Educators, and I'm one too, I have a university in Gujarat, we have almost 3,000 students there. we're always playing, that whole circle, that vicious cycle of catch-22 between having to pay our salaries, our expenses on a monthly basis, but then we receive our fees, 3 times a year or 2 times a year in terms, right? And then we have to make that last for that entire window. So it's always a crazy catch-22. The banks, as we all have experienced, are not so easy, right? They don't really look at education and fund education the way businesses are funded in our country. They have a more conservative outlook towards education than anything else, strangely. And I don't know of many colleges or schools that have gone NPA. But despite that, that's a problem. So what we came up with at FinancePeer is a unique algorithm that takes evaluation of a parent from a 3-week, 4-week window straight down to 2 hours. We work collaboratively with our schools. We like to engage with our schools, help them get the right set of parents who are going to not create problems for the school later. And also from the parents' end, it's very exciting for them because the cost of education, the interest of education is not borne by the parents. So for them, they're very proactive. What this leads to is an immediate surge in admissions. Now, because all the kids who wanted to come to that school, all the parents who wanted their kids to be in this excellent school, but couldn't afford that lump sum payment, now have an interest-free EMI to pay over 9 months or 12 months, which is the academic year. Now, this makes it so easy and allows all these kids to come to those schools. And the schools see a big jump in terms of their capacity or their admission demand. So it's a really interesting, symbiotic, synergistic circle. And to me, FinancePeer is not just a finance company. To me, it's a family. We want to invite all of you to come on board. We're working with some exceptional institutions already. And the idea doesn't stop just there. The future, how do you make a school into a smart school? Our acquisitions, our technology partners that we have, the future. I mean, just simple things like a smart card today, which can go into a canteen, kid can just tap on it and buy whatever he wants. And it's controlled by the parent at all times. You have geofencing, where you know where your child is all the time. So if the child is supposed to be in a school bus, you know whether he's on a school bus coming home or not. If a child is supposed to be in school at a time, you know that he's in school or is cutting classes. Not so great for the kids, but great for the educators and the parents. So it's a really comprehensive ecosystem that we're building out. And our growth is in the growth of our partners. So we'd like to help you grow. So in short, welcome to the FinancePeer family. I'd like to wish all of you all the very best. And many congratulations to Elets again for the 15th World Education Summit. Thank you very much. And Chandan, thank you again for making me a doctor free of cost. Thank you.